Hello, Serge here from the backyard driving range. Alright, we got a letter that came in from Robert Mead, one of our longest Sergites and very active on the blogs every day. And he starts off by saying, if you could, please do another daily on the bump and how it applies to the slot. All right, there's a word I haven't heard in a long time, the slot. What is the slot? Well, we know slot machines are all over Vegas, and they take your quarters or whatever you put into them, and they don't give back very many. And so, there is a golf slot, and the golf slot, it's good to have, and it's basically your path from the top of the backswing to impact. All right, so he goes, in my own words, I have become re-energized recently to finally ingrain the bump and stop my tendency of coming over the top and across. While experimenting with fresh determination to use the bump more effectively, I had some aha discoveries a few days ago on my backyard driving range. Oh, so Robert's got one, okay. My challenge, and I'm guessing this may be the case for many other Sergites out there, is not in making sure I avoid getting too laid off in transition, as you say you fight this with your right hand, but rather avoiding making the loop in the opposite manner, out and over. Okay. You have said and demonstrated many times how after going back 3/4 and vertical, you fight not becoming too laid off. Again, I have always fought coming forward with an out and over move and not under becoming and slightly laid off, but not coming under and slightly laid off, which all great players seem to do. I am convinced this is largely due to starting the forward upswing with the shoulders, not from the ground up by bumping first. Excellent deduction, and that is very likely what it is. All right, with one other big issue, okay? And I'm going to decide 3 issues can cause that issue. All right, and the first things I'm going to talk about when I get done. This is a little long. Letter's a little long, but it's got a lot of good points because Robert's been at this a long time, and he's dedicated to getting better, and he is getting better. All right. So I'm going to read that last sentence one more. I am convinced this is largely due to starting the forward upswing with the shoulders and not from the ground up, bumping first. So that would mean his kinematic sequence is off. His timing is incorrect. He's starting with the upper body rather than the lower body, okay? So he's trying to skip a rock by starting with his shoulders, which would throw the rock into the ground, into the water, rather than skipping it, which will throw it out level and have it skip on the water. I know you have talked about this many times. However, perhaps you could do it again in light of the difficulty many of us still have with the lateral bump and getting into that slotted position. I have been determined to drop in and not over while bumping, and wow, has it made a huge difference, especially with the driver. Absolutely. The longer the club gets, the more you come over the top, the worse the shots are going to be. And the better you stay in the slot, the better they're going to be. A few of the great side effects of that are that my distance has made it a huge difference, especially with the driver. A few of the great side effects are that my distance off the tee is back. I am no longer fighting a slice, and in fact, I'm starting to see a draw that I have always wanted. The other benefit has been that it seems easier to swing up vertically over the front shoulder rather than across to the left finish. Exactly, because if you bump properly and the club's coming in the slot correctly, it's swinging out into the forward mitt and up the tree. If you're coming over the top, you're already off path, off plane, and your path is going outside in, so it's going over there, which is, if it's going over there and the club is coming across the ball, it's harder to make the club go up, if not impossible. Great feelings. Finishing up what Robert says, I have started to ingrain it all with the drill I now do 3 times before my actual swing through the ball. I set up in the master setup position and then start back as I reach the top. I drop in as I bump, doing this slowly until I come back to the ball and stop before impact. So I think what he's talking about is he does this slowly and he feels this and comes to impact. So he wants to feel if there's sort of a loop, it's this way, it's not that way. But the loop really isn't. It's just your hands fall down and they come a little bit inside. But he's trying to really feel that and ingrain it into his brain. Because why? Practice swing, feel the swing, then you set up and swing the feel. So he does it 3 times. I do this 3 times, simulating what the move feels like. Then I do this with a complete swing, and I'm very happy with the results. In order to start feeling the lower body start to transition and the club drop under, I have had to exaggerate the move, but I'm now gradually making it more subtle as my stubborn body adjusts. I also want to gradually do this through the rest of my bag. Any observations and further suggestions would be appreciated. Thanks. Your #1 fan, Robert Mead. Okay. See, what Robert's trying to do now is he's trying to make his brain figure out what his body's doing and feeling it. There's no such thing as muscle memory. It's mental memory. Until your brain knows it, your brain can't tell your muscles to what to do properly. And he's trying to ingrain the feeling because we play with feel. All right? Practice swing, feel the swing, then hit a setup and swing the feel. We don't do mechanics when we're going to hit the ball. Now, the only thing I'm going to warn right now is if he's taking 3 of these really slow swings to feel that and everything else, you better be doing that before another guy swings, because that can start taking up a lot of time, and your friends might get ticked off that you're slow playing them and everything else. And if you're in a tournament, if you're starting a slow play, you could get warnings and eventually a penalty. So you want to learn to. So if you're like over here and the other player hitting is over there someplace and you're behind him, you can start doing this stuff and getting ready to do it. Or anywhere where you feel like you're not outside in a person's line of vision that could bother them, I'd say go ahead and do this. But gradually you want to save that for not every single shot, but to get it to it. So what is the slot? All right, the slot is that, let me put a couple lines down here. So you have the aiming line, and I'm going to do it again this way, hitting that way, because we're going with the slot is in the forward upswing with the start. All right. First and foremost, 3 issues you have to check to make sure that you can bump. You cannot bump if #1, you're aimed to the right for a right-hander, aim to the left for a left-hander. Because if you bump, you're just going to hit the ball farther to the right for a right-hander, farther to the left for a left-hander. And if you bump and make a good swing and a good impact. #2, it's very hard to bump if your stance is too wide. Because either one or 2 things will happen. Either you'll end up bumping and actually reverse weight shifting if your stance is too wide, because with the wide stance, as soon as you bump, the weight's going to hit this forward leg sooner and hold you back or even push you back. All right? So conversely, if your stance is way too narrow, if you bump, you're going to lose your stance. You lose your balance, but you're going to lose your balance a lot quicker that way. So I almost never see that. And #3, if you are still playing with the thought of when you bump, you're going to hit down on the ball, it's pretty hard to bump when you're hitting down, because hitting down, as I really believe, and a lot of players agree with me, and that's why I created the 4th rule, which is swing up to the tee finish. If you're trying to hit down, it tends to trigger the upper body to move forward, the hands, the arms, the shoulders, everything to move forward. So there's no bump. You're out of sequence, and you're very likely coming over the top, as Robert described. So Robert, make sure that there's no hit the ball instinct, that it's pure swing up, because swing up is going to keep you put and to swing through the ball. All right, and so if you have any of those 3 issues, bumping is basically impossible. All right, so check out every one of those. Now, to totally answer his question, he wants to just know, how does it apply to the slot? Well, the slot, when we swing up and we go into catcher's mitt, toe up, and up the tree, and we come back down, the club is still basically toe up. There's a little bit of drop. All I want to swing, when I transition, I want to feel a drop. If you don't feel a drop, then that means you could either be fighting it, keeping your hands and arms so firm that you're not allowing the drop. But that little drop there, when I ring bing and the bump is going, and the transition from my back foot to my right foot, which is my belt buckle, is only moving about 1 inch or 2, because with the proper stance, as soon as we bump, you're right on it. In a snap of a finger, you're getting from your right leg to your left leg, and now you're posted to be able to stand here and swing up. That should give you a little bit of that hand falling down a little bit. And I don't want to, I see people, they want to drive their elbow into their right hip and all this other stuff. Well, we're right in front, just let it drop. If you jam it in there, look at how much I'm dropping and laying the club off. I don't want to artificially do that. It's just going to create problems. You just want to learn on doing this. I can't tell you how many times in my life I've stood here and just practiced this. In fact, what I've done this a lot of times is as Robert was saying, he brings it down and brings it to impact. I just do this, 1, 2, 3, boom, and then I take a practice swing. All I want to learn is that feeling of 1, 2, 3. Both arms went up together, both arms are coming down together. All right, in my right hand, and when you bump, what happens? The secondary spine angle tilt has the whole right side drop. So it's just like, oh, you get up here and it's almost, just this little slide, and what are you doing? It drops, but I'm fighting, my right arm's fighting to keep the club up vertical, all right? But I just get up and I go 1, 2, 3, boom. 1, 2, 3, and I'm feeling my weight go to my front foot. Let me do it from this view. 1, 2, 3, boom. I could just do 1, 2, 3, and eventually you could actually hit balls doing that. So all you're training, as Robert said, the fact of feeling that everything just drops down. So you could just stand there and get up there and go 1, 2, 3, and just get that feeling and hit a few balls now and then like that. Now naturally, I think you heard the sound. That wasn't that real solid, but it went straight. 1, 2, 3, and that was dead solid. All right, so you could just go 1, 2, 3. I've done that. I can't tell you how many times. And you can just even practice it 1, 2, 3. So what happens is the club comes down a little bit here, and the slot is coming where everything's coming down just slightly from the inside. So when your arms start to straighten up and rotate and release to the club, they're coming down from the inside. They're starting to straighten where we're going to hit the ball slightly behind the ball, the head slightly behind it, so the arms totally straighten out and square at impact. It's slightly from the inside. I kind of feel like my hands are coming in under my neck, not out somewhere from my chin towards my face. The slot is in here, but it's a slight inside so that I hit it. Then I go into forward catcher's mitt, up the tree, recoil and relax. All right? Comes slightly from the inside, squares on line, into the forward catcher's mitt, toe up over the shoulder to the T finish, recoil and relax. That's where the slot is, and I feel like my hands are under my chair, under my neck when I'm coming through. Okay? So this was a very detailed question. Robert, big thinker, he's been around a long time, and he's been watching probably from the first day I ever shot. And he's got a great understanding of the swing, but we always need to sometimes, no matter how much we know, and again, on these dailies, we got a lot of folks that just came into them. So this is a very, I was going to call it a very advanced question, quite technical, and I think I got to get technical here to answer Robert the way he wanted it, but it's always good to hear and get things re-examined, re-explained, and re-energized and knowledgeable in our mind, because there's no such thing as muscle memory, it's mental memory. You got to get it in your head, because it's your head that sends all the signals to your body to what muscle groups when, to do what, and how. All right? Well, that's it for the search for today on the bump in the slot, and I'll be talking with you all again soon.